Hi, I'm Phil Callaway. I'm the author of the book To Be Perfectly Honest. And this is the first book I've ever been asked to write. Usually I come up with the amazing ideas. But I had a call from Ron, my favorite editor, and he said, I've got a great idea for a book, and you're just the guy to write it. Well, I was flattered. I'm human. Is it about understanding women? I asked. About being sensitive to my wife's needs? Why? Well, I am good at those things, Ron. I am most excellent. He said, are you telling the truth? How come? Well, that's what this book is about. Complete and total honesty. I want you to see if you can tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth for an entire year. Well, like my native friend likes to say, I had reservations. I do not come by the truth honestly. I never have. There was an easy way to tell if I was lying when I was a kid. My lips were moving. One time, my mother, who wrote for a local newspaper, handed me $2, and she said, I want you to go down to the newspaper, and I want you to buy several copies of this week's paper. She handed me these $2, roughly about $4 billion in those days. My friend Steve came along with me, and when we passed by the candy shop, we sensed this great wafting of smells coming our way, and I was jingling this money in my pocket, and we bought Jawbreakers with that money. We bought it with all $2 worth, and I have never tasted better Jawbreakers. These things, these big, large hunks of candy in your mouth. And we sat there eating it, and Steve wanted to know what my next move would be. So I said, well, let's go home and you can watch me, the expert at work. And he did. And he watched me lie to my mother. I had the audacity to tell her that one of the big kids in our town threatened to beat us up if we did not present him with all of the money, and so we had to do this to stay alive so that you could still have us as wonderful children. Well, I agreed with whoever it was who said, a lie is an abomination to the Lord and an ever-present help in trouble. It was going very well for me as I told this lie to my mother, except that every time I opened my mouth, she could see my teeth were stained red with Jawbreaker. Do you want a guy like this to tell you the truth for an entire year? Ron said, certainly, I do. It sounds interesting. For some, this lieless year would be an easy assignment. Their natural habitat is the truth. It is like giving up arson for Lent. It's no sacrifice. But me, I now lie for a living. I am not a drug lord or a politician. I am a humorist. I stand before audiences and tell them stories. Stories which are about 98.4% true, at least as far as I can remember. But sometimes I add just enough salt to keep those stories savory, just enough falsehood to keep people interested. Well, some of these things may not have happened quite like that, technically, but they just might as well have. When I was a baby, my mom took me onto a bus, and I was very small, and I was a homely child, all right? And she passed by the bus driver, and the bus driver said, that is the ugliest child I have ever seen. You go to the back of the bus. Couldn't believe it. I didn't know about it at the time, but she couldn't believe it. She went, she sat at the back of the bus, and this guy beside her was sitting there. She said, the bus driver just insulted me. Just insulted me horribly. This guy said, you should not put up with that. You go. I'll hold your monkey. Well, it's not true. It never happened like that. But you know what? Stories like this, I really wish they would have happened. My ancestors were horse traders. They sold slow animals, then they got out of town fast. I told this to Ron, and he said, you're our guy. Can't think of a better guy. This will be way better than I dreamed. And I don't blame him. I would love to read such a book, if someone else wrote it. And if the author were honest and vulnerable, someone who would inspire me to live life with hope, with integrity. Imagine what happens when you tell your friends, which include several thousand on Facebook, that you have been hooked up to a lie detector, that you will respond honestly to their every question, anything that they ask. To say the least, it turned into quite a year. I have paid back debts from 3rd grade. I have ticked my wife off badly, and we've made up, of course. But I have done all kinds of things. I have confessed astounding things to others, and all the while, lived the most interesting year of my life, and done so without a lie. Well, pretty much without a lie. When I took this on, questions troubled me. What are the side effects to taking sodium pentothal tablets for almost a year? Could I stay happily married, being completely honest with my wife? How honest should I be about my struggles with faith, with church, with family, with lust, with the challenges of life? In the end, I think I accepted this assignment for the same reason some of us watch NASCAR racing on television. I was eager to see what would become of me. Would my life change? Would I crash? The answer is a little of both. During this year, I said goodbye to one of the dearest people on earth to me. I lost significant money in a scam. I gained both Mormon and atheist friends, and I discovered some rather uncomfortable things about myself. But this was the most amazing year. My faith has been strengthened. My funny bone is still intact. And my relationships, well, they may be fewer, but they are better. They are deeper. I've found that no matter where we find ourselves, God's grace is there all along. I've discovered that we sometimes tell lies, but even worse, we sometimes live them. If you'd like to live life without pretending, if you're a sucker for happy endings, I think you'll enjoy this book. During this year, I found a God who smiles, a God who still loves me regardless of what I've done. And with His help, I've decided that I'm going to extend the deadline on this truth vow another 72 years.